From Lagos, Nigeria, this is News Central. I'm Felicity Ezewike. The top stories tonight. Rising insecurity in Nigeria as terrorists continue to abduct pupils, with latest incident at St. Mary's Catholic School in Niger State. Vice President Kashim Shettima departs Abuja for G20 Summit as Johannesburg receives world leaders ahead of event. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky vows to represent Kyiv interest as U.S. continues to push for peaceful deal with Russia.
In business, Nigeria's Auditor General accuses CBN of recirculating dirty and unfit 29.77 billion naira notes under former Governor Godwin Emefiele.
And in sports, Nigeria wraps up track and field campaign at the 6th Islamic Solidarity Games in Riyadh with golden performance. More details later.
Thank you for joining us. Tonight begins now. Barely 5 days after the abduction of 25 students in Kebbi State School, bandits have also abducted an unspecified number of students and staff from St. Mary's School in Papiri, Agwara local government area of Niger State. Confirming the incident in a telephone interview, the head of disaster and relief for Agwara local government area, Ahmed Abdullahi Rufia, revealed that the attackers invaded the school in the early hours of the morning between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. He noted that the exact number of abducted students and staff is yet to be determined as authorities continue to assess the situation. Meanwhile, the Nasarawa State Police Command has dismissed reports of abduction of pupils of St. Peter's Foundation Secondary School in Doma local government area. In a statement issued by Police Public Relations Officer Rahman Nasser, the command described the viral accounts circulating across social media and some news outlets as false and not reflective of actual events. The police noted that the alarm was triggered when students heading to school field for physical and health education classes sighted armed hunters in the area and fled in panic, mistaking them for kidnappers. Their teachers subsequently escorted them back to the school premises. Bandits also abducted worshippers from the Christ Apostolic Church, Okeigon, Eruku in Ekiti, local government area of Kwara State. They have demanded a ransom of 100 million naira per victim, according to family members and community leaders. Relatives say the kidnappers have begun calling them using the victims' phones and have reportedly grouped the abductees, with the first group of 11 each asked to pay 100 million. Community leader Chief Olusegun Olukontun, who escaped the attack but has 4 family members still in captivity, confirmed the ransom demand. And while the Owa of Eruku, Oba Busari Olarinwaju, is appealing for urgent government intervention despite welcoming the swift military deployment ordered after the governor's visit. The abduction of 26 female students from the government girls' secondary school in Maga, Kebbi State is more than a statistic. It is a story of a community shattered and a security apparatus that failed at the most critical moment. While the world reports this as another school kidnapping, the brutal human cost of the ground on the ground tells a far darker story. Contrary to widespread media reports, it was not a vice principal who was killed confronting the bandits, but the chief security officer of the school who paid the ultimate price. In an exclusive and harrowing testimony with News Central Jamil Mubai, his wife recounts the nightmarish moment her husband was executed.
ni ma na ɗago kai zan taso sai ga barayin sun buɗe muna gambon ɗaki inda muke kwance da bindigoginsu suna shiga yana kwancin nan suka daga bindiga za su harbe shi sai ya ce a ku dakata kada ku halbe ni ina kwanci ku bari in tashi sai ya miki ni ma sai na sauko daga gadona sai muke ta kabbara da ni da shi.
Staying on security matters, Katsina and Plateau State governments have ordered the immediate and temporary closure of schools on Friday amid rising bandit attacks. In Katsina, Commissioner of Basic and Secondary Education, Yusuf Jibia, told journalists that the move is to protect students and teachers while security agencies roll out a new school safety strategy, noting that schools will reopen only after a full security review of high-risk areas is completed. This move comes after the recent abduction of students in Kebbi and Niger State. For a situation report, let's now cross to Kebbi and Kwara States, where my colleagues Jamil Mubai and Bernard Akede are standing by respectively. Also joining us to share his perspective is a policy analyst and international journalist Adeni Kunu. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Let's begin with you, Bernard. What has been the situation in Eruku community since your arrival? Bernard, what is the current situation in Eruku since your arrival? What have you uncovered? Okay, while we try to establish a proper audio with Bernard, let's go to Jamil. Jamil, it's 5 days. It's day 5, actually, since the Kebbi attack. What more information do you have handy?
That much, like as you can see, just the video that was played, that was the wife of the late chief security officer of the school that was abducted. And, you know, she narrated while we were interviewing her, she told us how they were, you know, sleeping with the husband when bandits stormed into their room. And once they entered the room, the husband was lying close to her. They said, "Are you Hassan, the chief security officer?" And he said, "Yes, I'm Hassan." And they said, "We are here to kill you." And he said, "Okay, let him stand up. They shouldn't kill him while he's lying on the bed." So he woke up, and while standing up, they shot him in front of the wife. And she told me that she rushed to hold the husband, to give him maybe a hug and whatever. And one of the bandits said, if she dares to touch the husband, he's going to kill her also. So she had to stand by. And once, you know, disturbing, you know, incidents that also happened while they were trying to drag her outside. One of the bandits, she had an infant baby. One of them slapped the baby. You know, she was telling them, "You slapped my little baby." So that was just a bit, you know, from the perspective of the people who witnessed this incident firsthand. All we've been reporting for the past, you know, 2 days was, you know, about the abduction, who escaped, you know, what is the government doing? But for the first time, we were able to talk to the people, you know, that were affected from their own perspective. She told me how she narrowly escaped. They wanted to go with her, but she said she can't leave her children. She had to manage with her infant baby and ran away. Also, we were given access into the students' hostel where we saw some of their uniforms. You know, the place was haphazard, you know, some leftover food and what have you, just to give you a clear mindset of what the student went through before they were taken and those that were able to escape. And, you know, like I said yesterday, one thing that the people of Maga community are not happy with
I understand how important what you're sharing with us is. It's quite pathetic just listening to you. But I just wanted to get quickly how we could make the mix-up generally in the media as to who actually died in that attack, who paid the ultimate price, not the vice president, but a security officer.
This incident that happened exposes, like a gap in our media reportage, especially when it comes to conflict reporting. Conflict reporting is not something you can do from from your comfort zone. You cannot understand what happened, the context, without talking to witnesses, being on ground to fully understand what actually happened. And most of the media outlets, to my surprise, even the international, BBC, DW, France, Al Jazeera, channels, everywhere, they said the vice principal was killed. So to my surprise, when I went there, I saw the vice principal. People have been calling her. And she told me that it wasn't the vice principal, it was the chief security officer and the other security officer that was stationed at the gate. The chief security officer has his own personal house inside the residence, and that was Hassan, the husband to the lady that just spoke. So this exposes, the lack of proper, documentation and fact verifying.
Quite unfortunate how almost everyone is reporting the wrong information.
Yes,
thank you for the correction. But quickly, let's go to Bernard. We'll come to you. Just hang on. Bernard, you are on the ground in Eruku, Kwara State. Can you talk to us about what the situation is on the ground that you met? And there was a video you shared as well, if you could talk about that.
I'm in a Eruku community, and it's very quiet at the moment. Very quiet, not because it's peaceful, but because it's solemn, so to speak. The people complained that this, has been the most harrowing attack that they've experienced in a while. Apparently, it's not the first time that they've witnessed, attacks from bandits. They claim that, first of all, because of the condition, I would say the terrible condition of the road leading to this community, they get attacks, from time to time by bandits. People who ply the road get attacked. But this particular one in the church where worshippers were worshipping, 3 were killed there and 38 kidnapped, and now they have the bandits demanding ransom money, initially demanding 100 million naira on each person, later negotiating to 20 million naira per person. It's just left a bitter taste in their mouth here. It's left them in a lot of panic mode, and it's left them worrying. As a matter of fact, as we were coming, we saw some vehicles carrying belongings of certain people out of here. We didn't realize that these actually were people moving out of the community in fear until we got in here, and then we got the full story. So again, to answer your question, the people are currently living in fear. They are very worried, so much so that some have departed the community, not wanting to come back until they feel some presence of security. However, I'd like to mention that security has been beefed up here. We have some military officers who have come in here, police officers here, but worthy of note that the people here too have begun to defend themselves. So there are a lot of them now with Dane guns as we speak right now in different parts of the community, trying to secure their lives and their belongings.
All right, Bernard. Gentlemen, I just need you to hang on for a minute. We're on a short break. We'll be right back to continue this conversation. Thank you for staying with us. Let's continue with my colleague. Let's start with Bernard. Earlier, we heard there was sporadic shooting, and you shared a video. Can you tell us a little more about that, please?
Okay, so we had gone into the bushes and were being showed the path where the bandit made away from, and they also showed us where the third person amongst the 3 who were killed, where he was actually killed in the bush there. And as we were making our way back after filming, or while filming, making our way back to the church, then we heard sporadic shooting the first time. We weren't sure who was doing the shooting, but out of just being cautious, we began to run. Everybody there began to run, and then we heard again really heavy gunfire. So by the time we all ran to a safe place and converged, we were able to confirm from some other people that it was the military who had moved into the area, probably shooting warning shots, or maybe they saw something and were trying to warn any kind of extra aggression. But whatever it is, it was heavy shooting that we did here. But again, you know, it just goes to show us the kind of tension that's in the place. You could see, if you saw that video, panic on the faces of people, even on our faces as well, because it just gave us a feeling of how these people felt on that day when they got attacked. Everything going normal, all of a sudden heavy gunfire is what they heard. And then it shows you how they have been put on heavy alert, such that whatever noise they hear, whatever sound they hear now, they want to make the first move and run to safety.
Jamil, you were on the ground. What more did you hear from community leaders in terms of how they are assessing government intervention since the event? Investigation, perhaps, updates, any information?
Okay, yes, they're expecting a lot because there are a lot of unanswered questions. One of the answers the people of, Maga are looking towards is to find out why did the military withdrew even after the governor telling them to be stationed in the school, and even asking them to send him a picture for him to confirm that they are there in the school, because he had prior intelligence report. But around 1 to 2 a.m., the military withdrew from the school. And in less than 30 minutes to 1 hour, that was when the bandits strike. And according to people I spoke with, the chief security officer took around the soldiers, showed them the blind spots and the areas they might think the bandit might use in penetrating the school. So the army left, and these bandits use same routes in getting.
Okay, so Jamil, I know there is so much to share from your visits to the community, but I'd like you to talk to us about any update. A whole lot of Nigerians are expectant. I'm sure the community is too. Can you tell us a bit about what the government or the community leaders are telling you about possible investigation towards retrieving the girls?
With regards to that, nothing yet on ground. Only 2 of the abducted, students were able to escape themselves. And the community, spent the whole day waiting for the vice president when, they were told he was coming. And they had to travel like 5 hours to receive him. And at long last, he didn't come.
Quite unfortunate that we still, quite unfortunate that we don't have any information even now. Jamil, thank you. Bernard, thank you.
There is no
Please stay safe. Nigeria will be represented at the G20 Leaders Summit in Johannesburg, South Africa by Vice President Kashim Shettima, following President Bola Tinubu's decision to remain in the country to attend to pressing security concerns. Vice President Shettima on Thursday departed Abuja to stand in for the president at the high-level summit, which gathers leaders of the world's 20 major economies alongside the European Union, African Union, and global financial institutions. President Tinubu postponed his scheduled trip to Johannesburg to receive security briefings on recent incidents in Kebbi and Kebbi State. The invitation to Nigeria was extended by South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa, who currently chairs the G20 group. The summit is set to hold from November 22nd to 23rd at the Johannesburg Expo Center. To other developments now, the Federal High Court's judgment sentencing Biafra Nation agitator Nnamdi Kanu to life imprisonment on 7 counts of terrorism, treasonable felony, and public incitement is generating reactions from legal experts across the country. Many are questioning his decision to personally conduct part of his defense, while others argue that the matter has now moved beyond the courtroom. Our correspondent, Joshua Imari, has more in this report.
Reactions are beginning to pour in following the judgment in the trial of Biafra Nation agitator Nnamdi Kanu. Kanu was sentenced to life imprisonment, chose to represent himself in the terrorism trial. Some believe Kanu's choice of self-representation in such a complex terrorism trial exposed him to avoidable legal risk, arguing that only experienced counsel can navigate the technicalities of a capital-level criminal proceeding.
I think that should be his first undoing, for him to say he would take the defense of a very serious charge like this by himself while he's not a professional. Even at a professional level, you need serious dedication and because of the delicacy of it, to bring out of your defense.
Some say that the seriousness of the charges demanded specialized preparation.
You have a right to defend yourself, but when you're facing a serious criminal charge, it's very risky and not advisable that you opt to defend yourself. It's always better you allow lawyers who are experienced in the field to defend you.
Beyond the legal arguments, some experts believe the case has taken on wider national political dimensions.
Nnamdi Kanu's matter now is now beyond the court. It's essentially a political crisis in Nigeria. So I think government is also observing, and they will take actions that is in the interest of justice, in the interest of people, and in the interest of peace to ensure that the best thing is done. I mean, for a better society.
As the legal team prepares its next step, analysts say the judgment marks a crucial moment for Nigeria's justice system. For now, reactions will continue through the verdict as many await another episode at the Court of Appeal. In Abuja, from the Central, I am Joshua Umarayi.
2 people believed to be blood relatives were killed in Makurdi, the Benue State capital, on Thursday after an angry mob confronted them over a stolen motorbike. The incident began when a commercial bike rider who had his bike snatched earlier in the day traced it to a residential compound in Makurdi. Witnesses say the occupants attempted to escape but were chased by a mob that had gathered at the scene and were subsequently lynched. Both individuals were killed and set ablaze before security personnel could fully gain control of the situation. Despite efforts to disperse the crowd, the mob later returned early Friday morning, destroyed property in the compound, and eventually set the building on fire. Still ahead, all roads leads to Johannesburg for G20 Summit. We'll bring you details of this after the break. In a country where safety lapses often lead to preventable disasters, training and technology could be the difference between life and loss. To close this gap, Belazi Energy, in partnership with Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, has trained 50 Nigerian youths in the safety and business of security systems. News Center's Igbalani Omoniyi has this report.
With a hands-on drill and experiment, 50 youths, engineers, and facility managers have been trained on the installation, management, and business of fire alarm, gas detection, and access control technologies.
We took them on the theory class, so we took them on the practical side, which is technical side, where you can connect all these products together. We can, interact them, link them together with wires, screwdriver, pliers. They learned how to use all this equipment technically. Then after that, we now took them on the business class, which is how to sell this product, where to buy this product, how to source, this product in the Nigerian market.
From the basic training I had just now, I can be able to say yes, I can be able to safeguard anything within the building.
At least I would also have an idea or a knowledge as to what is going on around me. I will be able to, when I'm speaking to artisans, I will be able to speak from a place of knowledge and I wouldn't be speaking amiss.
I can do some of those basics by myself. And in terms of the difficult ones, we also have an opportunity to collaborate with trained engineers, electricians that could as well put us through.
With growing concerns over workplace safety, the organizer Belazi Energy, in collaboration with the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, aims to empower youths while also reducing fire hazards, gas explosion, and security breaches in buildings across the country.
So they went into the field to see how the gas detection works, how the fire system works. So they had to implement it, not just learning it in the classroom. They also had to implement and see how it's been done. It's something they can put in their career to enhance their career in their various sectors. Apart from you putting in your career-wise, you can be self-employed to do this job on your own.
The fire alarm, gas detection and access control technologies training align perfectly with our mandate to develop a pool of competent Nigerians capable of taking up skilled roles across the energy value chain. It also strengthens our national capacity in individual safety, risk mitigation, and facility protection.
For a country currently grappling with infrastructure and economic difficulties, providing individuals with safety-focused technologies and businesses may be the wake-up call Nigeria needs to respond faster and smarter. In Lagos, 4 News Central, Igbalaniyi Omoni.
Outside Nigeria, Johannesburg is building up for one of the world's most significant gatherings, the G20 Summit. A day before the official start, leaders from across the globe have begun descending on the vibrant city to address pressing global issues. Meanwhile, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has already held crucial bilateral talks. News Centro's Bongani Sisiba brings us the latest.
Center in Johannesburg, where the highly anticipated G20 Summit is set to kick off tomorrow. But today, the city is already buzzing with activity. We have seen world leaders beginning to arrive for this global event. Leaders across the globe have descended in Johannesburg. President Cyril Ramaphosa has also held several bilateral talks with several key figures, including
Global Affairs analyst Alexander Von Rugen joins me now to discuss what to expect at the G20. The U.S. boycott, as well as China's potential leadership role in the absence of U.S. Thank you very much for joining us. Let's begin with your thoughts on the fact that 2 world leaders, the U.S. President and China's Xi Jinping, even though he's sending representatives, will not be at the G20 summit. Do you think this is sabotaging the first ever G summit to be hosted in Africa?
Well, I think there's a little bit of punishment involved from President Trump, and to understand why, we have to go back to the history of his relationship with President Ramaphosa. I don't think it's so much the G20. I don't think it's the fact that it's in Africa. I think it's the fact that South Africa co-sponsored an action against Israel, a genocide in Gaza, and that upset Trump very much, as he's an advocate supporter of Israel. That happened back in February, March of this year. Also, South Africa has been an advocate of the BRICS Pact, which is a alternative in global currency to the US dollar. It's a union of China, Russia, India, South Africa, Argentina, and Brazil, amongst some other smaller countries. So this all adds fuel to the fire. Recently, Trump accused South Africa of genocide against white Afrikaners. I think that was a bit of a stretch. I mean, genocide is a heinous term, and but in terms of what's going on with actions against white Afrikaners in South Africa, I think it needs to be addressed. But I wouldn't call it a genocide, and I think that was thrown out there again to be a little schlocky.
Okay, there are concerns. I mean, South Africa wants climate change and disaster relief. They're also talking about financing green energy transition. easing debt levels for poor countries and addressing global inequalities. In the absence of these two major countries, even though China has delegates, just like Nigeria has sent the vice president, won't it impact the declaration at the end of the day? Would it water down this summit again?
Very much so. One of Trump's, the fact that the Americans aren't there is that they're just, the whole purpose of this summit was to advocate green energy initiatives and diversity and inclusion, and also aid to developing countries. And Trump is against all of those. He's backtracked on every program. He's canceled USAID. He's defunded the UN. This is in his agenda, so he just doesn't want to take part in it. And that, in also with certain statements that were made by President Ramaphosa, he got irked, and I think the term was the president mouthed off against President Trump, and as a result, we're not allowing any representative of the U.S. to attend the G20 Summit.
Alexander, as always, thank you very much for speaking with us.
My pleasure, as always.
To one of our top stories tonight, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he won't betray his country as the U.S. continues to push for a peace deal with Russia. In an address to the nation, the Ukrainian leader says that he is working constructively with the U.S. on the proposal, but warns Kyiv may face a choice between losing its key partner or its dignity. However, the Kremlin says Russia has yet to receive anything official on the plan. The U.S. plan includes proposals that Kyiv had previously ruled out, such as ceding areas of the eastern Donetsk region that it still controls, reducing its army in size and pledging not to join NATO. While European allies are adamant they must be involved in the peace negotiations, the EU foreign policy chief said the bloc was left out in drafting the plan. We'll be back with business, sports and entertainment news.
This segment is brought to you by MoneyPoint.
Looking at business now, Nigeria's Auditor General has indicted the Central Bank of Nigeria for recirculating 29.77 billion naira worth of dirty and unfit banknotes in violation of its own clean note policy. The 2022 audit report revealed that branches in Abuja, Lagos, Bauchi and Jos issued notes previously classified as unfit, with Abuja alone releasing 28.6 billion naira. The CBN blamed COVID-19 disruptions, insecurity and seasonal cash demand, but the Auditor General dismissed the explanations as unsatisfactory and urged lawmakers to summon the CBN governor for possible sanctions. When I'll tell you that the Johannesburg Stock Exchange tumbled more than 2% on Friday to 109,641 points, dragged down by a deepening global tech-driven sell-off. Resources led losses, with the index sliding to over 4%, while industrials fell 2%. The rand weakened 0.6% to 17.34 as investors retreated from risk. Global markets, including the Nikkei, Nasdaq and Hang Seng, were down about 2%, while Bitcoin and Ethereum plunged over 10%. Analyst Simon Brown said panic over a potential AI bubble is fueling indiscriminate selling, warning that a sharp correction in U.S. tech could severely hurt global and South African markets. We'll bring you stock market report after the short timeout. Now, in Nigeria's equities markets, the OSHA index closed at 143,790.91 points, down 0.27%, while market capitalization settled at 92.31 trillion naira. Now, market activity was stronger, with 56.86 million shares traded in 18,815 deals valued at 25.59 billion naira. Looking at the sectoral performance, we start with the banking sector that actually gained 0.28%, supported by renewed interest in tier 1 stocks such as Access Core. Insurance dipped 2.24% as sell pressure persisted in counters like Mutual Benefit Assurance. Oil and gas also dipped 0.08%, even as we saw some weaknesses in selected stocks. Consumer goods 0.16% in the reds, and industrial goods was nearly flat at 0.01%, as cement majors like BUA Cement traded sideways, all showing that the market ended the week on a slightly negative note. And that's it on business. I am Lekon Onobaro.
Hello and welcome to sports. Team Nigeria has rounded up its campaign at the tracks at the 6th Islamic Solidarity Games in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, with an excellent performance in the mixed 4x400 meters relay to clinch the gold medal ahead of Bahrain and Turkey. The quartet of Tafat Badmus, Anita Itoha, Enaruma Ezekiel Osuko and Patience Okon George recorded a season's best of 3 minutes 16.27 seconds to win the gold medal. Nigeria won an additional gold medal in wrestling with Esther Kalawale beating Ruzana Mahmoudova of Azerbaijan in the women's 62-kilogram category freestyle event. Her compatriot Damala Ojo, however, settled for silver when she lost to Alperi Kaziz of Kyrgyzstan in the women's 76-kilogram freestyle event. Team Nigeria has now won a total of 29 medals, with 10 gold medals, 12 silver, and 7 bronze medals. And according to the Director General of the National Sports Commission, that's Honorable Bukola Olopade, it was no fluke that Nigeria has won medals in every sport it has participated in at the Games. Here in Lagos, the Lagos State government has announced the temporary traffic restrictions across key routes in the state capital of Ikeja ahead of Saturday's Capital City Race. The second edition of the 10-kilometer road race is scheduled between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. and according to released the Lagos State Ministry of Transportation's official X account, the measures will affect several major roads along the race corridor. And according to the statement, the race will begin at the Ikeja shopping mall before moving through Billings Way, Kudirat Abiola Way, the Okwebi Link Bridge, Adeni Jones, and Oba Akran Avenue by the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, ending at the Archbishop Vining Memorial Church on Oba Kinjobi Way in Ikeja GRA. The government advised commuters to plan ahead to make use of alternative routes where necessary and follow instructions issued by officials during the exercise. According to the organizers, winners in the male and female categories will receive 500,000 naira each, while second place finishers will earn 300,000 naira and third place finishers will also receive 200,000 naira. ASFAR of Morocco have won the second CAF Women's Champions League title history after edging debutants ASEC Mimoussa of Ivory Coast 2-1 in the final. In an exciting match contested at the Suez Canal Stadium in Ismailia, Egypt, the Moroccans took the lead from the penalty spot in the 13th minute, which was expertly dispatched by defender Hanan Ait El Hajj. However, striker Ami Diallo drew the Ivorians level in the 55th minute, and it was the first and only goal that ASFAR conceded throughout the competition. However, Zineb El Redouane scored another penalty in the 85th minute to give ASFAR the lead and ultimately seal the win. ASFAR will receive $600,000 for their win, while ASEC Mimoussa will take home $400,000 in addition to the coveted title. ASFAR have now qualified for the playoff round for the FIFA Women's Champions League. In the third place match, former champions TP Mazembe of the DR Congo defeated FC Massar of Egypt 3-1 to claim the bronze medal. And in the CAF Champions League, Al Hilal Omdurman edged out their North African rivals MC Alger to begin their 2025-2026 CAF Champions League group stage campaign with a victory on Friday. The Sudanese Giants claimed a 2-1 victory over the Algerian champions in a Group C match played at Al Hilal's temporary home ground at the Amahoro Stadium in Kigali, Rwanda. Abdelrazig Omer broke the deadlock in the first half stoppage time to hand Al Hilal the lead heading into the halftime break, with Jean Gurumshiga providing the assist. Parity was restored in the 53rd minute when Mustafa Kashom scored an own goal. However, substitute Mohamed Abdurrahman hit the back of the net in the 75th minute to restore Al Hilal's lead, which proved to be the winner. Nigerian representatives Rivers United will play their first match tomorrow away to defending champions Pyramids of Egypt at the 30 June Stadium in Cairo. And that's all we have sports news tonight.
Entertainment is next with Kate. Hello.
Hi Felicity, how are you doing today?
Oh, great.
All right, hello and welcome to the world of entertainment for tonight. Afrobeat star Young John has made the release of his highly anticipated debut album, Blue Disco, citing worsening insecurity in Nigeria. Now, in a heartfelt post on X, he expressed his disappointment over the atmosphere of fear, grief, and uncertainty engulfing the country, calling the situation unbearable and urging both leaders and citizens to rise up and take action. Originally set for November 21, 2025, the album features collaborations with high-profile artists like Wizkid, Rema, Ashake, and Olamide. Of course, Young John did not give a new release date, but closed his message with a prayer that God may restore peace, unity, and hope across Nigeria. Now moving on, Hollywood has honored late actor Chadwick Boseman with a posthumous star on the Walk of Fame. The tribute recognizes Boseman's remarkable impact on film and culture, celebrating his unforgettable performances, including his role as Black Panther, which inspired millions worldwide. Friends, family, and fans joined the ceremony, marking a moment of remembrance for the late actor's enduring legacy in Hollywood. And that does it on Entertainment News tonight. My name is Kate Adiogun.
And that's our offering tonight. But before we go, here's a quick reminder of our top stories. Rising insecurity in Nigeria as terrorists continue to abduct pupils, with latest incident at St. Mary's Catholic School in Niger State. Vice President Kashim Shettima departs Abuja for G20 Summit as Johannesburg receives world leaders ahead of event. We also brought you news that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has vowed to represent Kyiv's interest as U.S. continues to push for peace deal with Russia. Do send your eyewitness reports to the number showing now on your screen. You can follow us on social media platforms at News Central TV. You can watch live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. As always, thank you very much for your kind company. Have a good night.